My name is Clementina G. Ward, and I am 31 years old. I run a small but successful custom furniture and renovation business in Portland. Nothing glamorous. Cabinets, dining tables, bookshelves, kitchen remodels, the kind of work that leaves sawdust in your hair and splinters in your palms, but gives you something solid at the end of the day. I used to work in corporate sales, and I hated every minute of it. The fake smiles, the office politics, the endless meetings about meetings. I wanted to build things that did not lie. Maybe that was why what Marcus did broke something so deep in me. I had been with Marcus for almost 3 years. We met at a mutual friend's barbecue in the summer of 2021, and I fell for him faster than I should have. He was energetic, spontaneous, always chasing the next plan, the next trip, the next story. I was steadier, quieter. The woman who measured twice before cutting once. For a while, I thought we balanced each other out. He worked in marketing downtown and loved the creative chaos of it. I admired that about him. We had talked about moving in together, even looked at a few places in the Alberta Arts District. I had started saving for a down payment, cutting back on expenses, taking extra weekend jobs, refinishing tables after midnight with coffee going cold beside me. I wanted us to have something real. A home. A future. A life that did not wobble every time someone prettier, louder, or more exciting walked into the room. But there was always Tessa. Tessa was his coworker, and before she became his coworker, she had been his ex-girlfriend. He never called her that, unless I forced the word into the conversation. To him, she was just Tessa, the person who understood campaigns, deadlines, clients, and apparently every corner of his soul that I could not reach. Tessa said this. Tessa thinks that. Tessa came up with the best idea today. Tessa would love this place. Her name became background noise in our relationship until one day I realized it was not background, noisy at all. It was a warning bell I had trained myself to ignore. It started unraveling on a Tuesday night in late September. September 26th, to be exact. Marcus was supposed to come over for dinner at my place. Nothing fancy, just pasta, wine, maybe a movie after. He showed up an hour late, barely apologized, and spent most of the meal on his phone. I could see him texting, smiling at the screen, completely gone from the room while sitting right across from me. "What's going on?" I finally asked. "It's work stuff," he said without looking up. "Work stuff with Tessa?" His face changed immediately, like I had slapped him. "Why do you always do this?" "Do what?" "Act like I'm doing something wrong. Tessa is my friend, Clementina. We work together. We have to communicate. God, you're so paranoid sometimes." I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe him so badly that I swallowed the question still sitting on my tongue. We finished dinner in silence. He left early, saying he had a client meeting first thing in the morning. After he left, I cleaned the dishes alone and stared at the half-empty bottle of wine between us, wondering when I had become a guest in my own relationship. 2 weeks later, I found out he had been lying. Not about Tessa being his friend. About everything else. It was a Saturday afternoon, October 14th. I went to his apartment to surprise him with coffee and croissants from the bakery he loved on Hawthorne. I had a key. He had given it to me months earlier and said, "My place is your place." When I opened the door, I heard voices from the living room. Low laughter, intimate laughter, the kind that made me stop with the paper bag still warm in my hands. I walked in and saw them on the couch. They were not kissing. They were not touching. But Tessa's shoulder was pressed close to his, and his hand rested loosely beside her knee while both of them stared at something on his laptop. The energy in the room felt wrong. Too comfortable. Too private. Too familiar. They jumped when they saw me. "Clementina," Marcus said, standing too fast. "I didn't know you were coming over." "Clearly." Tessa closed the laptop quickly. At least, she had the decency to look uncomfortable. "We were just finishing up some project stuff," she said. "On a Saturday," I replied. "Deadline Monday," Marcus said quickly. Too quickly. "We've been slammed with this campaign. I set the coffee and croissants on the counter. My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed calm. I'll leave you to it. Clementina, don't be like that. But I was already walking out. He called me that night. I did not answer. Then came the texts. Can we please talk? You're overreacting. Nothing happened. You're being ridiculous. Overreacting. That word burned. I stared at my phone for an hour before I finally called him the next morning. What is going on, Marcus? And don't lie to me. He sighed. That exhausted sigh that made me feel like my pain was an inconvenience. Nothing is going on. Tessa and I are friends. We work together. You're being paranoid, and honestly, it's exhausting. Then why does it feel like I'm the third wheel in my own relationship? Because you make yourself feel that way. This sentence hit hard, but I pushed forward. Do you have feelings for her? Silence. Long, heavy silence. Marcus. I don't know, he said finally. Okay, I don't know. She just gets me in ways you don't. My chest tightened. What does that mean? It means you're always so serious, so cautious. Tessa is fun. She takes risks. She makes me feel alive. She doesn't question every little thing I do. And I do? I didn't say that. You didn't have to. We argued for another 20 minutes, going in circles, him defending Tessa, me trying to understand when the man I loved had started comparing me to the woman he once loved. He said I was controlling. He said I made him feel suffocated. He said I did not trust him. Then he said something I will never forget. You know what? Maybe she is more important to me than you are. Maybe that's the truth you can't handle. And honestly, Clementina, the way you're talking to me right now, you're making me feel unsafe. Unsafe. I was not yelling. I was not threatening him. I was asking for honesty. But that word was not a feeling anymore. It was a weapon. I knew what it implied. I knew what it could become. So I said nothing. I hung up, blocked his number, blocked him on everything, and quietly walked out of his life. For 3 weeks, I heard nothing from Marcus. No apology, no explanation, no dramatic appearance at my workshop, no flowers left on my porch with a note about how he had not meant it. Just silence, which should have felt like relief, but mostly felt like standing in an empty room after the roof had been torn off. I threw myself into work, because work had always been merciful. Wood did not gaslight you. Measurements did not compare you to another woman. A table leg either fit or it did not. A cabinet door either closed properly or needed to be adjusted. There was something holy about that kind of honesty. I took on extra projects. A custom bookshelf for a client in Selwood. A vintage dining table that needed refinishing. A kitchen renovation in Laurelhurst with cabinets so warped I had to rebuild half of them from scratch. I stayed in my workshop until my hands ached, until the noise of the saw drowned out Marcus's voice saying Tessa made him feel alive. My friends asked what happened. I gave them the version that was easiest to carry. We broke up. Why? It wasn't working. That was true, just not enough. Some nights, when the house was too quiet, I replayed the last call. I wondered if I had overreacted. I wondered if I should have fought harder, demanded answers, forced him to admit that saying Tessa mattered more was not something you could take back. Then I remembered the word unsafe, and my whole body went still again. That word had been a line in the sand. Not because I did not care about how he felt, but because I knew he had chosen the one word that could turn me from hurt girlfriend into something dangerous in other people's eyes. On November 8th, around 8 p.m., there was a soft knock at my gate. Not the front door, the gate. I lived in a small house in the Montevilla neighborhood, with a fenced yard and a workshop out back. The gate always squeaked when someone opened it, and that night the sound cut through the quiet like a warning. I thought it might be a neighbor needing help with something, or a late delivery left in the wrong place. When I opened it, Marcus's younger sister Natalie was standing there. She was 26, a nurse at OHSU, and one of the only people in Marcus's family I had always genuinely liked. She had come to dinners, helped me pick out Marcus's birthday gift the year before, and once spent an entire afternoon sanding a coffee table with me because she said it was better than listening to her brother talk about branding strategy. But that night, she looked destroyed. Her eyes were red and swollen. Her jacket was zipped crooked. She held her phone in both hands like it might burn her. "Natalie," I said, "what's wrong? Are you okay?" She swallowed hard. "I need to show you something." My stomach tightened. "What happened?" "Can I come in?" I stepped aside. We sat in my living room, the same room where Marcus used to fall asleep during movies and complain that my couch was too firm. Natalie sat on the edge of it, trembling so hard the phone shook in her hands. I made her tea, chamomile, the only kind I had, and waited while she tried to breathe. "I found these on Marcus's laptop," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wasn't snooping. I swear I wasn't. He asked me to grab a file for him while he was at work last week. Something for a presentation. When I opened his messages to find it, I saw Tessa's name. She looked at me like she was asking forgiveness before I even knew the crime. I took screenshots. She handed me the phone. The first message was from Tessa. "When are you going to tell her?" Marcus had replied. "I don't know. She's so clingy. It's exhausting. Every time I try to have space, she turns it into this huge thing." Tessa wrote back, "You said you'd break up with her weeks ago. What are you waiting for?" Marcus answered, "I need to figure out the money situation first." Money situation. My fingers went cold around the phone. I scrolled. Tessa. "How much does she have saved again?" Marcus. "Around 40,000. She's been saving for the down payment on that place. She talks about it constantly. She's so proud of it. Honestly, it's pathetic." Tessa. "Perfect. Once you get access to it, you can leave. We'll go to Cabo like we planned. My friend has that condo we can use." For a second, the room tilted. I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. I could smell the chamomile tea cooling on the coffee table. Everything ordinary continued while my life cracked open in my hands. I kept scrolling. Marcus. I hate lying to her, but she's so predictable. So serious. I can't do this small life forever. Furniture, renovations, Portland forever. That's not what I want. Tessa. Just stick to the plan. Get the money, then we're out. You deserve better than some carpenter who thinks a down payment is a dream. Marcus. I know. Thank you for being patient with me. I looked up at Natalie. She was crying again, fresh tears streaking down her face. "There's more," she whispered. "He's been telling people you're controlling, that you've been emotionally unstable, that you won't leave him alone even after he tried to end things." "I haven't contacted him once," I said. "I know." "I blocked him." "I know, Clementina, that's why I came." She wiped her face with her sleeve, then took a shaky breath. "He's building a case. So if you fight back, people won't believe you." A coldness spread through my chest. "A case for what?" Natalie looked down at her hands. "I heard him on the phone with Tessa 3 days ago. They were talking about a restraining order." The room went silent. "He said it would scare you into compliance." Those were his exact words. I sat back slowly. "Compliance with what?" "I don't know all of it," she said. "But from the messages, they wanted access to your savings. He thought if he could make you look unstable or threatening, you would panic. Maybe pay him off. Maybe hand over money to make the accusation go away." My throat felt rough. "He told me I made him feel unsafe." Natalie closed her eyes. "I know. He was practicing." "I think so. For the first time since the breakup, I felt something sharper than grief. Not jealousy. Not heartbreak. Fear." Natalie leaned forward, desperate now. "Clementina, you need to protect yourself. He's not just cheating emotionally. He's planning something. And Tessa is pushing him, but he's choosing it. I need you to understand that. He is choosing it." I looked back at the phone. The man I had almost bought a home with had been discussing my savings like loot, my future like a target, my caution, my love, my hard-earned stability as something to exploit. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. Natalie's face crumpled. "Because you were always good to him. You were good to our family, and my brother has become someone I don't recognize." She paused, then whispered, "Or maybe this is who he was, and I just loved him too much to see it." That sentence broke my heart in a different way. Before she left, Natalie forwarded every screenshot to my email. She made me promise not to contact Marcus, not even to confront him. At the gate, she turned back with tears still in her eyes. "He's desperate," she said, "and desperate people do stupid things." After she left, I stood in my yard for a long time under the porch light, listening to the gate creak in the wind. 3 weeks earlier, I had thought walking away was the end. Now I understood it had only made him change the plan. Tiếp tục phần cuối. The next morning I went to a lawyer. His name was Greg Callahan, an old college friend who had somehow gone from drinking cheap beer in a dorm hallway to owning a small law office with his name etched on frosted glass. 2 summers earlier, I had helped him build a deck behind his house and refused payment. I told him to remember it if I ever needed legal help. Now, I needed it. I sat across from him with Natalie's screenshots printed in a folder, my hands folded so tightly my knuckles hurt. Greg read in silence for nearly 15 minutes. Every now and then his jaw tightened. Once he stopped, looked out the window, then went back to reading as if he needed a second to control his temper. When he finally closed the folder, his face was grim. "This is premeditation," he said. "They discussed your savings, access to your money, and a false accusation strategy. If Marcus tries to pressure you financially, that moves into fraud or extortion territory. If he files a false restraining order, this evidence matters. A lot. What do I do? Document everything. Do not contact him. Do not answer calls. Do not respond to texts. Screenshot anything he sends. Save voicemails. Save camera footage. If he shows up, do not open the door. If he tries to access your accounts, we involve the police immediately." I swallowed. "He knows where I bank. Move your money today. Different bank. New account. Change your locks if he has a key. Install cameras if you don't already have them." I wanted to say that sounded paranoid, but after reading messages where my boyfriend discussed my savings like a prize, paranoia felt like common sense wearing a cleaner shirt. That afternoon, I moved my savings into a new account at a credit union across town. $40,000. Years of weekend jobs, late nights, skipped vacations, and careful decisions. I changed my locks. I installed cameras at the front door, back door, gate, driveway, and workshop. I made a written timeline of everything. September 26th, dinner. October 14th, Tessa on his couch. The final call. The word unsafe. Natalie at my gate. Every detail mattered now. 2 days later, Marcus texted me from a number I did not recognize. "We need to talk. I made a mistake. I miss you. Can we please just talk?" I did not respond. I screenshotted it, sent it to Greg, and blocked the number. An hour later, another message came from a different number. "I know you're angry, but I'm scared. Tessa isn't who I thought she was. She's been using me. Please, Clementina, I need help." I stared at the screen, and for 1 weak second, the old part of me stirred. The part that had loved him. The part that remembered him falling asleep in my truck after a long hike, his hand still loosely holding mine. Then I remembered the messages. Around 40,000. She's so proud of it. It's honestly pathetic. I blocked that number too. Then came the voicemail. I should not have listened, but I did. "Clementina, please, I messed up. I messed up so bad." Tessa manipulated me. She convinced me to say those things, to plan all that stuff. I didn't mean it. I need money to get away from her. Just 5,000. I'll pay you back. I swear. You're the only person who ever really cared about me." His voice broke at the end. It sounded real. That was the cruelest part. Marcus had always known how to sound sincere when sincerity cost him nothing. I forwarded the voicemail to Greg. Then I deleted it from my phone. The next day, Marcus showed up at my house. I was in the workshop, sanding the edge of a walnut dining table, when my phone buzzed with the camera alert. I opened the app and saw him standing at my gate in the gray afternoon, banging with both hands. "Clementina!" he shouted. "Please, I know you're home. Your truck is here." He looked awful, unshaven, hair messy, eyes red. He leaned against the gate like he was trying to make the camera pity him. "Please just talk to me, I'm sorry." "I'll do anything." I stood in my workshop, sawdust floating in the light, my heart hammering so hard I felt it in my throat. Every instinct told me to go out there, to demand answers, to make him look me in the eye and explain how he could plan to ruin me. But Greg's voice was louder. "Do not open the door." So I did not move. Marcus stayed there for 10 minutes, crying, calling my name, promising he could explain everything. Then he walked back to his car and sat there for another 20 minutes, staring at my gate, like he could will me into becoming the woman I used to be. Finally, he drove away. That night, Natalie called. "He knows I told you," she said, her voice shaking. "He went through my phone. He saw the screenshots I sent. He's furious." "Where are you?" "At a friend's place. He kicked me out of the apartment." I closed my eyes. "Natalie, I'm so sorry." "Don't be. I'm glad I told you." "But, Clementina, be careful. He's desperate, and desperate people do stupid things." It all came to a head on November 22nd. Greg called me around 10 a.m. "He filed the restraining order," he said. "Hearing is tomorrow at 2 p.m. My stomach dropped, even though I had been expecting it. "But there's more," Greg continued. "Tessa filed a police report against him this morning." I went still. "What?" "Apparently, Marcus transferred $8,000 from her account while she was asleep. She's pressing charges." For a moment, I could not speak, and when the police questioned him, Greg said, "He tried to blame you, claimed you manipulated him, controlled his finances, and pushed him into doing it." I laughed once, not because it was funny, but because my brain could not find another response to that level of insanity. "He doesn't stop, does he?" "No," Greg said. "But he's done. The bank records show the transfer. Your alibi is solid. You were at the Laurelhurst job site all day, with 3 witnesses. We have the screenshots. We have the voicemails. We have camera footage of him showing up at your gate after you blocked him. Bring everything tomorrow. The hearing was fast. I expected drama, tears, speeches. Maybe Marcus looking wounded and misunderstood. But the courtroom was colder than that. Practical, fluorescent, uninterested in performance once evidence entered the room. Marcus showed up with a lawyer who looked like he had been hired at the last possible minute. Tessa was not there. His face looked pale and hollow, but when he saw me, something ugly flickered in his eyes. Not love, not regret, resentment. Greg submitted the screenshots, the timeline, the voicemails, the camera footage, and the police report about Tessa's stolen money. The judge read enough to understand exactly what had happened. Marcus tried to speak once. The judge stopped him. The restraining order was denied. Then the judge warned him that filing false claims could expose him to criminal consequences and a civil claim for defamation. His lawyer looked mortified. Marcus stared at the table like the floor had opened beneath him. When it was over, I walked out of the courthouse into cold November rain. I did not feel victorious. I felt exhausted. A week later, Natalie told me Marcus had moved back in with his parents in Seattle. He had lost his job after the theft investigation, and the messages got back to his firm. Tessa wanted nothing to do with him and was considering a civil suit. His reputation in the Portland marketing scene collapsed quickly. People talk. Screenshots travel faster than explanations. As for me, I went back to work. That week, I sold 2 custom dining tables and got a new commission for a home office build in Laurelhurst. I started going to the gym again. I even went on a quiet coffee date with a man I met at a hardware store. Nothing serious. Just 1 hour of conversation with someone who asked about my work and actually listened to the answer. It felt good to remember that I was more than what Marcus tried to make me. Natalie and I still talk sometimes. She found her own apartment and cut Marcus out of her life completely. We got coffee last week, and she thanked me for not blaming her. I told her the truth. "You saved me," she cried then. So did I. Some nights I still think about Marcus, not with love, not even with anger, but with something close to pity. He wanted excitement, money, escape, and a life that looked bigger from the outside. He wanted shortcuts. He wanted my savings without my stability, my loyalty without my questions, my silence without my pain. Instead, he lost almost everything. I do not know if I believe in karma, but I believe in foundations. I believe you cannot build a life on lies and expect the walls to hold. Eventually, pressure finds every weak point. Eventually, the truth pushes through. 3 months later, Marcus tried to friend me on social media under a fake name, Sarah Mitchell. The profile picture was a sunset. He forgot the email still showed in the URL. I blocked it immediately. Tessa moved to San Diego, from what Natalie heard. Marcus stayed in Seattle, trying to rebuild whatever version of himself he had left. I hope he does. I hope he becomes someone who does not use fear as a weapon or love as a transaction. But that is no longer my work. My work is walnut, oak, maple, measurements, cabinets, tables, doors that close cleanly because someone took the time to hang them right. My life is quieter now, better than quiet, honest. Sometimes, walking away is the only way to save yourself. Sometimes, the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is keeping your money, your name, your peace, and building something real with hands that no longer shake.